Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mystic Tides Tarot. Today we're going to be doing a pick a card reading, sharing a message from the liminal queen herself, Santa Muerte. So this is similar to other ones that I've done for her, or in name of her I should say. We're going to be using the Oracle deck, so you can pick your piles, and then we'll be using the tarot deck to actually do the reading. And in this one, at the end, I'm also going to be pulling some oracle cards from the Mesoamerican oracle deck. They just pair really nicely with the Santa Muerte decks, in my opinion. Okay, so pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. I want to say that we pulled this goddess, this deity, in the last pick a card. Not 100% sure, but I know it was either in the last one or the one before that. Anyways, I will write down the names of the titles of each of these oracle cards. And then once you pick your pile, timestamps are down below. And I hope you enjoy your reading. Hello, pile number 1. This is the oracle card you chose. The oracle card titled Art. Okay, we're gonna leave that out there. Okay, it always gets a little funky shuffling this deck because it's so tiny, but it's so cute. Actually, I'm going to keep that one out. 6 of Swords. Okay, so the Art card is pretty self-explanatory. It's talking explicitly about art. You see somebody right here actually painting a piece of art, but you also have musicians in the background, and music is a form of expression, as is art. So we're talking about expressing here. You're being encouraged to express something that you haven't been expressing. Now, this can resonate in terms of like your feelings, emotions, something that's on your chest, but this is a little more niche down than that, a little more nuanced than that. It's about something that you've been working on for a while that you've been hesitant to share, but for some reason you feel like you have to share, but you keep going back and forth. And this card is saying you need to find a way to express it creatively. So maybe you're trying to really talk about how you feel politically in the state of the world right now, and you don't know how to word it. Maybe words aren't your forte, but you're a hell of an artist and you're trying to communicate the message, but for some reason you haven't really been thinking about doing it through your artistic medium. This is the card that says you need to do it through your artistic medium, or you need to do it through a different artistic medium. The expression that you need to make happen is a creative one. It is through a creative vehicle. 6 of Swords, which I didn't even get into yet before I pulled this card, and this one's calling to me too. But 6 of Swords, this is the card of leaving, right? It's like you're leaving something that probably wasn't the best. It could be a toxic situation. It could even be a toxic way of thinking that you had, like, oh, I don't know how to express my thoughts, so I should just keep it bottled up. No, you need to express it. It's just not in the way that you were thinking. And then the swords have to do with the mind, with intellect. Maybe you were overthinking this. Most definitely were, actually. And or you're thinking of doing it via the word, via the thought, where this is more intuitive. The way you express it is more intuitive. It's more cups, not so much swords. But the whole leaving, right? The leaving part is leaving that way of thinking specifically to this situation. And I also want you to kind of look at this. Let me see if I can get it a little closer. Oh, there we go. Don't look at my unmoisturized cuticles, please. Thank you. But you see that this ferryman, if you will, the person who is making the boat move, is ushering things that are in the boat. So it's not a lonely scenario. In the typical 6 of Swords card, it looks like a mother and a child are being ushered by someone away from danger and into safety. Right here, you don't see actual like living beings, but the entire deck is skeletons, right? And you do see skeletal structure right here. So this is kind of trying to put into perspective that you are not doing this alone, and you're leaving this does not mean that you're leaving to be alone, or you're leaving to be isolated, or that you're going to be lonely on this road, on this path. It's kind of like this consolation. Even if you are someone who likes to be alone, we're never really truly alone if we are spiritual beings who believe in a higher power, right? We're never really alone. And this is like just trying to kind of soothe that if you are concerned of that for some reason. Just wanted to put that out there. But then we have the Emperor and the Page of Pentacles. Now, the Emperor, this is someone that has their structure. They have a very specific way that they think that things should be run, okay? And maybe this is how you thought in the past, which is why you were kind of deadlocked into that way of like thinking you need to express your political opinions. And I don't know why I keep going back to politics. Maybe just because it's in my mind or it's in the air. It's all over social media. But also it's something that a lot of people would hesitate to share because you don't know who you're going to be basically othering from your social circle, your inner circle, or in general by speaking on politics, specifically from your lens, the way that you see them. And sometimes we don't do this on purpose, right? We've all done things without thinking about every single possible scenario because first of all, that's literally impossible, right? But it's also relevant to our life experience. So if we grew up thinking that being racist is normal, then we're not going to blink an eye to say a racist comment, right? But if you got brought up, or I don't know, I guess maybe that was a bad example because I feel like certain people have a very natural, instinctual moral compass and some don't. And if you have a really instinctual moral compass, then you automatically know that something's wrong without somebody having to tell you. Or when somebody tells you this is the way things are, you're going to question it because it's not going to sit right with you. But I don't know why I'm getting into that. Maybe that's something you needed to hear because it was something that you needed help putting into words. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, but Page of Pentacles, let's move on. We know the Emperor, like I said, is about structure. It's about following the rules. And I don't think this is an advice card. I think this is just helping us weave this story for your pile. Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles, this is this new energy, right? This is new energy, but this new energy is a slower paced energy. This is not about, you just need to make as much content as possible and express this as much as possible. It's not about going fast. This is about taking your time to make sure that the art that you create, the creative expression that you're working on does fit what needs to be expressed. So this isn't like a rush job whatsoever. And it's not like, oh my God, you need to hurry up and leave. Like, no, that's not what the message is. Okay. Ace of Pentacles. What did I say? I said, this is a new energy coming in. Then we get the ace, literally new. Pentacles, same suit. So just doubling down on that I just said. This is not about rushing the process. This is about really getting lost in the process. You need to almost become so enamored with the process that you're not thinking about the finish line or the end goal. And maybe that's what you're truly meant to be doing right now, instead of really forcing this expression to have a physical form or to be heard or seen. Get lost in what it takes to get seen, so that when you do express it and show it, it's like something totally different than you even thought you were going to make going in. And that in itself, it's its own reward. Ace of Cups, another start. Yeah. And now we have the cups, right? So now we're talking about this creativity, because I said, and maybe this is it's going to be something totally different by the time you're done with it. And this is right here, new creative energy, new emotional energy. And you know what they say about artists and creatives and how much they have to utilize their emotions, or else, you know, the work is going to be garbage. And then you get into that whole like suffering, starving artist trope, which I don't think needs to be the reality, but I digress. I'm just going to pull a couple more cards here, see what else Santa Muerte has to say to pile number one, this one, and this one, one more, this one. Ace of Wands, another ace. That's insane. And then Eight of Pentacles. Okay, I'm done. This is so damn good. Sometimes the cards just, they do me the favor, you know? Okay, so like I said, start. 3 aces. Now the wands. We talked about every suit at this point, because I talked about the swords there, pentacles here and here, ace of cups when I was looking at that, and then also here. Now the wands. The wands we haven't touched, and it's perfect because then we have the 3 of wands. But anyways, ace of wands. Wands is this fire. Obviously the wands are the suit of fire, the element of fire, I should say. But this is passion. This is also spiritual energy. So you're entering into all of this by taking your time in this creative expression process. Then we get the 8 of Pentacles. The 8 of Pentacles, also Pentacles, right? But 8 of Pentacles specifically is about skill building and mastery. This isn't about doing like repetitive work. This isn't about doing like, oh, I'm just going to sweep the house and then I got to wash the dishes and then I got to do this, or like I just need to clock in and then I got to get on my little computer and do my little notes or whatever. Like, no, this is skill, mastery. This is you training. Let's just say, for example, you were into this, you training to be the blacksmith. This is you having already done your years as a youngin. And I don't know why I'm even talking about this. This is so funny. The energy is so interesting right now. But yeah, this is like you're done with your apprenticeship. You know, you're on your way to becoming a blacksmith. You are now about to get your first assignment. No, not assignment. What do you call it? When somebody asks you to make something for them and they put like a down payment on it. Your first order. I know there's a better word for this, but it's slipping my mind. Anyways, doesn't matter. 8 of Pentacles. This is your mastery. So you're going to be able to finally get into this flow. If you let that process teach you something, it's going to teach you mastery. The 3 of Wands at the end is basically saying, you know, you've done the work. At this point, we're going like this, right? At this point, I should actually do this. At this point, you've done the work. You're mastering things. Whether you fully master it or not, that's, you know, up for a debate based on the, you know, the eye of the beholder and all that. But 3 of Wands, it's like, you set the ships out to sail and you're waiting for them to come back in with your profit. Okay, that's what this card is. So this is like all good stuff. But it's all very very tied into you finding a creative way to express something that you've been wanting to express, but have lacked the ability to do so for one reason or another. And before I finish your reading, Pile One, because I'm done with the tarot, I'm going to be pulling from the Mesoamerican Oracle deck. And this is your final parting message. I'm just going to do one card. This is interesting. Positive development. Obviously, we already knew that. What I was just saying makes total sense. Atl, which is actually water. It means water in Nahua or the Mexica language, which to some is known as the Aztecs. This is actually the period that we're in right now. The 13-day period that we're currently in is actually this one. And it's kind of like, it's water, right? So all of the attributes of water, and we think about how water can be turbulent, but it could also be calming, soothing, and cleansing. It's as if you're going through a cleansing period. You're walking away from the things that no longer serve you. Also, this is in water. So there's just so much synchronicities in this reading that I felt, all of these intuitive like downloads that I was getting with this reading. So whoever picks this pile, you're on the right track. You just need to really like give yourself the time and some audacity and credit to pursue this, because it is worth pursuing. The reason you want to communicate this is because it's worth communicating. So I wish you all of the best of luck, and I'll see you in your next reading. Goodbye. Hello, pile 2. You picked the card of light. Now, this card's message has to do with this blessing, basically. Like, you are at full throttle potential right now. So anything that you want to put into motion right now is the most, like, green light that you've gotten in a while. So whatever it is, just go for it. That's, like, the main message of this oracle card here. So we have the Knight of Cups. We have the Page of Swords. Page of Pentacles for the second time. Pile 1 got Page of Pentacles. We have the 3 of Swords, the Hanged Man, the King of Wands, the 3 of Pentacles, and bottom card, the Emperor. That one was also in pile 1. Okay. Okay, so if you've been thinking about something and you're waiting for like that like sign that says, now, do it now, this is the sign. No more waiting, no more hesitation, because a lot of the times we think, oh, we're not ready, we should pause. But when you're being given a green light from the universe and you still pause even after they gave you a sign, because you're literally listening to this reading. So if you're listening to this reading and I'm telling you it's go time and this is the sign, and you decide, oh no, I'm still kind of doubtful, you're basically telling the universe, no matter how many signs you send me, I'm just going to do whatever I want. And that is straight up disrespectful. And I'm saying this from someone who's always asking for more signs, okay? And I receive so many synchronicities and so many signs, and it always feels like it's never enough when we're the ones that are lacking belief in our own spirituality. Because I have doubts every now and then. And this is a part of being human. This is a part of having a brain that thinks a lot, right? Those doubts are going to creep in. And even though sometimes we would want to eradicate them, it's really healthy to be able to doubt things, because we never want to become a robot. Like, yes, it would be much easier to have undeniable faith in X, Y, and Z because whatever reason, but that's just not the way the cookie crumbles. And you don't want to be someone who never questions what they believe in. Because that's a sign, a trait of a healthy, functioning brain. Because it's okay to believe in one thing now and then not believe in it 5 years from now. That's actually a sign of growth. So, yeah, now I just went into a whole other rant. But anyways, so right now is the time for you. We have the Knight of Cups, the Page of Swords, the Page of Pentacles, and the King of Wands. We actually have a good amount of court cards here. So there's like some people that are in your life that have been influencing whether you say it's go time, it's not go time. And it's not that they're bad or they're good people. They could be either or, right? But they're influencing you, and this is causing you to end up with kind of like your own broken heart. And this isn't to say that they're going to break your heart, although they might. That's a possibility, right? Like, I'm not saying that that's not going to happen, because anything could happen. But the Three of Swords is more of like a personal heartbreak. Like, maybe you didn't realize that you were listening to them more than you really were. Like, maybe in the back of your mind, you were thinking, oh yeah, they have some opinions, but I don't really care what they say. But now that you're thinking about it, you're like, but that did affect me. And the fact that Pablo, I don't know why I said that name, but the fact that Pablo said that I wasn't allowed to this, or that if I did this, this bad thing would happen, I did hesitate. And then you're like, damn, I didn't realize I was letting people affect me that much. And I do care about these people, but it's up to me. And it's kind of like this call back to power, calling back your own sovereignty, and making sure that you're following through with what you say you want and not what others sway you to do. Because it's really easy to get caught up in this, especially, we're social creatures. We are influenced by other people. Hello, we're in the time of influencers. Like, the name says it all. It's easy to be influenced into buying things, into like talking about things, into political beliefs even. Like, we are influenced, and it has to do with where we're at in our life and what we're trying to bring forth and what's hurt us, our traumas. Like, all things are cofactors, right? However, we must continuously take back our power and understand that no one's going to know what's best for us more than we will when we're in the right state of mind, okay? The Hanged Man says this is going to be a process. Like, you kind of sifting through what's yours and what's not yours. Like, okay, I said that I wanted to go to college and get my bachelor's in physics. However, do I really want this? And take away what everybody else said and how they made you feel when they said it. Is it still a yes, or is it now a no? Okay? Like, really trying to untangle other people's needs, wants, for you from what you actually need and want. And if you end up finding out that you don't want any of those things, and now you don't even know what the heck it is you want, that's okay too. That's step one, okay? Is really untangling this mess. Now, Three of Pentacles here is saying we are in a growing season, okay? We're in a season where we have to water the plants in order for them to grow. Three of Pentacles also, not in this deck, but in other decks, is a card of collaboration. So it's kind of like telling you, you don't have to be a hermit. You're not going to have to be a loner just so that you can figure out who you are. And if you talk to anybody, then you're not yourself anymore. Like, I'm not trying to send you down that spiral whatsoever. People are essential. Like I said before, we are social creatures. But you need to spend some time alone to figure out what's yours and what's not your shit. And then when you find out what isn't yours, throw it out so that what's left is you. And then with you, who you are, go in and find those people that accept you for who you are and collaborate with them. And maybe it is the same people, because it's not on them that you were influenced by them, right? Unless they're manipulators, that's a whole other thing. And I'm not going to stand for that. But if they are people with pure intentions, it's not their fault that you were influenced by them. Maybe they're amazing people, and maybe that's why they influence you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But also understand that we don't want to be people pleasers. We need to understand what we want first. That's how we retain our individuality. Because what makes us a beautiful race of humans is that we're different. And I don't think we celebrate our differences enough. Like, we either celebrate something that's extremely different or we other it, or everybody's the same. And it's so much more variations of gray than that. But I'm sure you already know this. I don't know why I'm ranting on this. Like I said, I just get on certain rants and those are like me channeling. So it either hits or it doesn't. If it doesn't hit, leave it alone. Don't take it with you. But if it hits, it's for a reason. At the end here, we have the Emperor. So unlike pile 1, where I was telling them this is not advice for you, this is actually advice for you. Like from the beginning, we said this Oracle card is talking about now is go time. Now is the time to move forward with something that you've been hesitant on. Like, yes, find out that that's actually what you want, whatever it is. Whether it was influenced by somebody else and you just said, you know what? Yes, it was maybe influenced by them, but it is what I want. So I am going to go for it. Then go for it. Right now is the perfect time to do that. The Emperor card comes in with the advice saying, you know, let's make sure that all our ducks are in a row and we have a solid foundation before we move forward. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying. So now I actually see why I was saying this, because you want to lay that foundation so that you don't have to be all up in your feelings every step of the way, questioning, is this what I want? Is this not what I want? Why am I miserable now? Oh, wait, I just realized I never even wanted this. Then you have this kind of crisis going on, because that's happened to me before. That has definitely happened to me before. That's another reason why I speak about this with so much passion, because I know what it's like to want to please people that I look up to, and I fall for that propaganda, and they are not even trying to manipulate me. They just want to see me happy. But I had it worked up in my head that I had to make them happy in a certain way instead of considering what I actually wanted. And I was letting my past people-pleasing tendencies get the better of me. Okay? Don't let that be you. Learn from what I did. The Emperor is here saying, let's have all of the rules set out so that when we go to executing this plan, we don't have to look back. We don't have to doubt. We don't need to change plans because we already know what is set. All we got to do is move. There is no doubting. There is no questioning. We're just going. And we know that the only thing that matters is the steps that we got to take, the next one and then the next one, in order to get to that goal, because right now is the time. And this is something big for you. So I'm not sure what it is, but this is something big for you. Now, before I close out this reading, I am going to pull an oracle card for you. Let's see what the Mesoamerican oracle card has to say. Trust your intuition. I mean, you know, like I said, figure it out. Figure out what's not yours. Trust your intuition on what is yours, so that you can lay down the plans to execute what that is. And how do you know what your intuition is? It's something that rings true even though others may not like it. It's something that you can't stop thinking about, no matter how many times you've tried to convince yourself that's not it, or others tried to convince you that it wasn't it. It's that persistent thing that you just can't stop thinking about. And it comes up in random ways at random times. And you're like, yeah, well, that's something I just like. Or maybe I'm just obsessed with that. Like, no, that's your intuition trying to bring attention to something that you haven't been giving the attention that it deserves. I think that made sense. But I hope you enjoyed your reading, pile 2, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Hello, pile 3. You picked the beautiful Chalchihuitlicue. She is a deity from the Mexica pantheon, and she governs over water, seas, rivers, lakes, etc. And she is here to remind you to go with the flow. Now, this flow sometimes is aggressive and sometimes it is very, very still, but it is never stagnant. And she's here to remind us that we shouldn't be fighting whatever that flow is. I love that we got the 10 of Cups. I mean, it's a lovely card regardless. It's a lovely card. However, the cups with the deity that rules over water, and then literally the most cups you can get. Justice. Okay, so there's a balancing that needs to happen here. 6 of Wands, but you have very like 2 of Swords. Yeah, you have very beautiful cards. So 10 of Cups, 6 of Wands. 6 of Wands, you're being celebrated. There's a win here. 10 of Cups, this is like emotional fulfillment to the max. Joy, happiness, etc. Justice is about balance, okay? So justice is about, like I said, you don't want to fight the flow, right? So if you're fighting the flow, you're going against the current, then you're not in balance. Because this is trying to go this way, because nature balances things out on her own, right? So if you're going against what nature is bringing forth, then you're creating a disruption in the balance, in the scale, okay? Then we have Two of Swords. There's something that's going on that you're not sure about in terms of making a decision. Like whether it's, should I do this or should I do that? Should I believe so-and-so or should I believe the other person? It's something like this or that, which is interesting because the justice and the balance also came up. So there's something that's going on that you're kind of like doing this with, like this thing or that thing, I'm not sure, a little indecisive about. And that's what you're doing that's causing a disruption in the current. That's causing you to go against the current because there is an obvious answer here. The World. Yeah, there's an obvious answer. And I think the reason that maybe you're hesitating, even though you know what that is because it's an uncomfortable one. And the World is telling us we need to hurry up and get this over with already. We've been dwelling here way too long, and you need to go ahead and make the decision that's in balance, in flow with the current situation. I get it, current situation, current, no. Yeah, you need to go with the current situation instead of fighting it. Make the decision that you know is the right one, because this cycle needs to end. We've been here too long. Then we got the 10 of Cups. I said this is a card of emotional fulfillment, and it is, but the number 10 is also about completion. So it's time to start something new. Page of Swords, 8 of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles. So the Page of Swords and the 8 of Pentacles. Well, I guess I could talk about all these three at the same time, but the reason that it's very difficult for you to make this choice is also because this is not something that you do often. Like, you don't always make difficult choices. You're not always caught in between. You try to make your life as much away from this as possible because it's a place where you really don't thrive in. You don't like to be the one that has to decide. And the reason being because you don't want to have anybody's fate in your hands. And I also think fate came up because scissors, right? Scissors cutting the thread of fate, like the Three Sisters, if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, like, you don't want to have anybody's fate in your hands, and you don't. You don't have anybody's fate in your hands. The decision was already made. You just need to hurry up the narrative along, because if they were meant to not go through that, then you wouldn't have had such an obvious knowing of what you're supposed to do. There would have been something that would tilt the scales more in the favor of that other person, right? But then here's the thing. If you decide in the other direction, the direction that you've been kind of like, you know, that's not the right answer, but you feel for that side, whatever that side is, if you end up going in that direction, somebody else is going to go through something. So either way, people are affected, right? Either way, people are affected. And as much as we don't like to go through those things, that's just a part of life. And you're not God here in the sense that, oh, they're helpless and you're like putting these people in this horrible situation and this is your fault. Like, that is not what's going on here. So don't take that responsibility. Okay. This is something that needs to be done more for you than for them to learn a lesson. You know what I mean? Page of Swords, Page is like the youngin. Okay. This doesn't mean that they don't have any type of intelligence. Okay. This is just someone who doesn't have a whole lot of experience having to make these cutthroat decisions. That's all that's saying. Then we have the 8 of Pentacles, because even though you don't have all of that experience having to make those decisions, this is still going to take you to a place where you're going to be able to feel that you outgrew something that was holding you back in the past. And it's connected to this. And you, trust me, you want that upgrade. That is something that is good for you. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to do things like this in the past. So that's why we have like this graduation from the Page to the Knight, even though they're different suits. Because once you have this, like, this upgrade, and you're the knight instead of the page, you become the Knight of Pentacles. This is someone, because we got swords. The swords are the ones causing the problems here, right? Then we go into Pentacles. Pentacles is that slow, patient energy. It's the we're putting in the work and we're not afraid to sweat a little bit. But we're also not stressing or going crazy or running around like chickens with their heads cut off. So it's this very steady, dependable energy, as opposed to the Page of Swords. The page is like, he's very quick with his mind, but because he's quick with his mind, he might not be taking into consideration a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration when making a decision. And maybe you know that, and that's why you're afraid to make that decision because of perceived consequences. But you already know what I've been saying. I'm not going to repeat what I've been saying this whole time. You know, just follow your instincts, because your instincts are not wrong on this. And let's finish with that, because it's been something that's been hanging in the air for a while. And our gorgeous deity here is saying, you do not want to fight the current, because you're only going to continue to suffer yourself. Because up until this point, you've been able to get through this, but it's not been a fun time, right? It has not been a fun time. And we want it to be a fun time. We want it to be a very fun time. Before I close out this reading, I'm going to pull out an oracle card. Last message. Prosperity is likely. Yeah, what did I say? Even though it hurts to have to be the one to make this decision, you know what the right decision is. You know what it is. And it is going to give you this wonderful emotional fulfillment. But you need to end that. Don't prolong it, because the prolonging is also going to increase, or I should say decrease, the happy feelings. And you don't have to take my word for it. You could always do whatever it is that you please, whatever it is that you want. The cards are just giving you a lens from which to see the situation from. And then you do with that what you will. Okay? But I hope you got something out of this reading, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.